I wish big, audacious goals for you. Go after your goals, and on your way to your goals, you're going to encounter your problems and your failures, right? That's going to happen. Otherwise, you just go straight to your goals. No, that's the learning process. You encounter your failures. Failures is part of the learning process. From the failures, what I found was great is I started to think of failures as lessons. I started to think of them as puzzles rather than develop emotional reactions to those failures. I started to think pain plus quality reflection would give me progress. So I started to think of almost the failures like puzzles, that if I could study the puzzles was, what would I do differently in the future that wouldn't produce that problem again when it happened? So, and then I would reflect, well, what was that would be my principles. What would I do differently in the future? If I solved that puzzle, I would get a gem. And the gem was principle, a principle to handle it better in the future, because failure is a learning process. It's an essential part of the learning process. If you can realize that and you write down those principles, write them down, it's been fantastic. So I learned those principles, and then it would help me improve, and then I would go on to more audacious goals. And I look at evolution, personal evolution, almost every evolution of a company, evolution of everything, as being this constant looping process that I sort of think of as this 5-step process, right? In other words, to be successful, you have to do 5 things. You have to know what your goals are and go after those goals. Be clear on your goals. And you will encounter problems on the way to those goals. Those will be your barriers, okay? They're your tests now. Don't just emotionally complain. Think about them as your problems. You have to diagnose those problems to the root cause, to get at the root cause. And that root cause might be yourself, what you're doing wrong, or what somebody else is doing wrong. So you can't depersonalize it. You have to really look at it so that you make those changes. And when you get at that root cause, only by knowing that root cause can then you design a way to get around that root cause. Like if you're not good at something yourself, it's okay if you find somebody else who's good at the things that you're not good at, because nobody can be good at everything, right? So, but you have to do that. You just can't keep banging yourself in the wall. So you have to design something that's practical to get around with it, and then you have to follow through and do it. A lot of people come up with designs, but you have to do the thing that's necessary. And by trying that thing that's necessary, again, you will find out, are you getting to your goals, or you encounter your next set of problems, and so on. And that, I believe, is the first personal evolutionary process that has helped me. Those rules that I was able to write down, and that you can get in this book, Principles, which is why I'm passing them along, those rules, we were actually able to then put into algorithms and build decision-making processes that replicate the brain. We'll get into that in a minute. Okay, so in order to be successful in the markets, one has to be an independent thinker. In order to be an entrepreneur, one has to be an independent thinker and bet against the consensus and be right.